Structure of the heart. If you observe the structure of the heart, you may observe two types of features. External structure, it is example of the external structure of the heart. Externally, if you observe the structure of the human heart, externally it is triangular in outline. It is triangular shape structure, and it is triangular shape structure. It is pear fruit like structure. It is anterior portion of the heart. Generally it is the posterior portion of the heart. It is broader at anterior portion and narrower at posterior portion. That means what? It is broader at anterior portion. Broader means big in size. Broader means it is it is example of it is, if you observe, it is like this. It is broader at anterior portion, narrower at posterior portion. It looks like a triangular in nature externally. If you observe the internal structure of the heart is covered by the, actually the heart is covered by the two layered membrane. Externally the heart is covered by the two layered membrane. It is example of, it is the first layer, it is the second layer. This heart is covered by the two layered membrane called as a pericardial membrane, also called as a pericardium. These two layers are called as a pericardial membrane or pericardium. The space between these layers are filled with fluid called as a pericardial fluid. The space in between the pericardium is filled with fluid called as a pericardial fluid. This pericardial fluid giving protection to the heart, because heart is very soft, so it need protection. This protection is given by the pericardial fluid which is surrounded by the heart. If you observe the internal structure of the heart is divided into four chambers. You see, these are called as a, these are first chamber, second chamber, third chamber, fourth chamber. These are divided into four chambers. The upper chambers, the two upper chambers are called, these are upper chambers, these are the lower chambers. The upper chambers are called auricles. It is the right auricle and left auricle. And lower chambers are called ventricles. It is the right ventricle, it is the left ventricle. If you observe actually the normal structure of the image, the image, normal image is this is the general, it is our right side, generally it is left side. But if you observe the image, it is quite opposite. It is the, compared to image, it is the right portion of the image, it is the left portion of the image. So now it is compared here, this is left side, this is right side. Here is a, it is the right auricle, it is the right ventricle, it is the left auricle, it is the left ventricle. So the heart is divided into four chambers. Two upper chambers are called auricles and two lower chambers are called ventricles. And these two chambers are, the two upper chambers and two lower chambers are separated by a muscular partitions, are separated by a muscular layers. There is a layer is there here. This layer is, now there is a layer. This layer is separating the auricles and ventricles. This muscular partition is called as a septa. And here is the heart is mainly the heart is mainly consists of two types of blood vessels, that is the arteries and veins. These are the arteries and these are the veins. Now we can discuss about the arteries. There are two types of arteries present in the heart. They are aorta and pulmonary artery. The biggest artery is the aorta. It carries the blood from the body, from the lungs, from the heart towards the body parts. Relatively smaller artery is the pulmonary artery. It carries the O2 containing blood, that is CO2 contain it carries the CO2 containing blood. It carries the CO2 containing blood from the heart towards the lungs. Repeating once again, it is the aorta or aorta. It carries the O2 containing blood from the heart towards the body parts. Relatively smaller artery is the pulmonary artery. It carries the CO2 containing blood from the heart towards the lungs. That means it carries O2 containing blood, it carries CO2 containing blood. Next, if you observe the veins present in the heart, these are the veins. It is the veins you see here also contain the veins. Now we can discuss about the veins. It is the vein which is at anterior portion and right side of the heart. The vein which is at anterior portion and right side of the heart is called as a superior vena cava. It is the blue color structure is called as a superior vena cava. It carries the blood from the body parts or collect CO2 containing blood from the body parts. Mainly it collect blood from the head and neck and supply towards the right auricle. It is also vein. It is at the posterior portion of the right side of the heart is called as a the vein which is at the posterior portion and right side of the heart is called as a inferior vena cava. It collect blood from the lower portion of body, that is hands and legs, and send towards the auricles. These are called as a it actually these are also called as a veins. It is a pulmonary vein. Pulmonary veins, here also pulmonary veins. It is a pulmonary vein. It is a left side pulmonary vein. It is a right side pulmonary veins. These are carrying the O2 containing blood from the lungs towards the body, towards the heart. These are carrying a O2 containing blood. These also carrying the O2 containing blood towards the heart. This is about the structure of the arteries and veins. If you observe the what we discussed now, the arteries and veins are present in the heart. These are the auricles and ventricles are they separated by muscular partitions called septa, and there is opening is there in between the there is a opening here, there is a opening is present in between the auricles and ventricles on the septa. The opening on the normal we are saying door, the opening in between the right auricle and and right ventricle, the opening actually present on the right or present on the septa, present on the what is this septa in between the right auricle and right ventricle. Repeating once again, the openings are present in between the auricles and ventricles on the septa. Now it is the opening in between the opening on the septa in between the right auricle and right ventricle is called tricuspid valve. Where is tricuspid valve? The opening in between the right auricle and right ventricle is called tricuspid valve. And the same time the opening in between the left auricle and left ventricle on the septa, that means that there is opening on the septa in between the in between the left auricle and left ventricle. It is the right auricle, right ventricle. It is the left auricle, left ventricle. The opening on the septa in between the left auricle and left ventricle is called bicuspid valve. it is called as a bicuspid or also called as a mitral valve. It is called bicuspid valve or also called as a mitral valve. I repeat once again this one. The opening on the septa in between the right auricle and right ventricle is called tricuspid valve. The opening in on the septa in between the left auricle and left ventricle is called bicuspid valve. This is tricuspid valve. It is a bicuspid valve. This is also called as a mitral valve. Actually, here is a these valves are they can control the movement of blood. These valves are they control the movement of blood from the auricles to the ventricles. Here is one more valve is here, and this is called as aorta. The aorta opening into the left ventricle. Here it can open. Here this aorta it can open into the left ventricle. The opening in between the there is opening in between the there is a valve is present in between the left ventricle and into the and aorta. Here we can observe one more valve. These are one more valve. It is called as a systemic valve. It is a tricuspid valve, bicuspid valve. There is a one more valve. The valve is present in between the aorta and left ventricle. Here we can see one more valve that is called as a systemic valve because it is a systemic aorta. Repeating once again, the valves which are present in between the systemic aorta and left ventricle is called systemic valve. Here is this is called as a pulmonary artery. It is a right ventricle. The walls here is also one more wall or one more door or one more wall. The walls are the wall present in between the right ventricle and pulmonary artery is called pulmonary valve. It is a systemic valve. It is a bicuspid valve. Here is the systemic valve. It is the pulmonary valve. Tricuspid valve, bicuspid valve, systemic valve, pulmonary valve. This is about the internal structure and external structure of the heart. Okay, thank you.